Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to talk about a subject that a lot of us think we know, but is actually packed with surprises. We're going to peel back the layers on the fascinating, and yeah, often misunderstood, world of archaeology.
Just imagine it for a second. It's Egypt, 1922. An archaeologist, Howard Carter, has been digging for years. He finally punches a small hole into a sealed tomb, holds up a candle, and the light just explodes off of gold, everywhere. This is that classic image of archaeology, right? It's pure adventure, the stuff of movies.
But is that really what it's all about? Hunting for lost cities and digging up treasure? Well, that romantic, adventurous image, it's just one tiny piece of a much bigger puzzle. And frankly, the reality is way more interesting and a lot more relevant to all of us today.
Okay, so let's get right into it. If we're going to understand what archaeology really is, we need to start with a solid definition, one that separates the Hollywood fantasy from the actual science. So here it is, the core of it all. Archaeology is the scientific study of the human past, and the way we do it is by looking at the stuff people left behind. And let's just get this out of the way right now because it's a big one. Archaeology is about people, humans. Dinosaurs are awesome, but that's paleontology, a whole different and also very cool field.
Now this brings us to a close cousin of archaeology, history. They both study the past, right? But their toolkits tell very different kinds of stories. Historians mostly work with written documents. And historically, who was doing the writing? The powerful, the wealthy, the elites. But archaeologists, we work with physical evidence, the broken pots, the food scraps, the foundations of a simple house. That's the magic of it. Archaeology tells the stories of the other 99%, the everyday people who were so often left out of the written record.
And it's that incredible power, the ability to tell the entire human story, that you're going to be getting into. Your instructor, Professor Darrell Roll, is going to be your guide this semester, showing you just how archaeology opens this amazing window into our shared human experience.
The great archaeologist Sir Mortimer Wheeler said it best. He reminded everyone that you're not just digging up things, you're digging up people. Every single object, no matter how humble, is a clue. It's a key to understanding how someone lived, what they cared about, how they saw their world. The real treasure isn't the gold, it's understanding ancient lives.
So if the whole point is to dig up people, how in the world do archaeologists pull that off? Well, you can think of an archaeologist as a kind of detective of the past, using a very specific set of tools to piece together what happened. Here's a great way to think about it. Doing archaeology is like trying to solve a giant jigsaw puzzle. Except, you don't have the picture on the box to guide you. And not only that, but half the pieces are missing, and the ones you do have are all broken and worn out. The real challenge, and honestly the fun of it, is figuring out how to build a picture of the past from those few clues you have.
So these clues, these puzzle pieces, basically fall into three big categories. First, you've got artifacts. These are the portable things that people made or used. Think a clay pot, a stone axe, a glass bead. Then you have ecofacts. These are natural things that give us clues about what people were doing, like animal bones from dinner or ancient pollen that tells you what plants were in the environment. And finally, you have features. These are the marks people left on the landscape that you can't just pick up and take to the lab, like the dark stain in the soil from an old wooden post or the burnt patch of ground from a cooking fire.
And when you put all of those clues together, the artifacts, the ecofacts, and the features, they form what we call the archaeological record. That's it. That's the raw data of the past. It's this huge, incredibly fragile archive of everything humans have ever done, and it's the foundation for everything we think we know about our history. So, who are the people actually doing this work today? What does being a professional archaeologist even look like? Well, the answer is probably not what you think. Let's be honest. When you hear archaeologist, you probably picture a professor with elbow patches on their jacket or a museum curator, right? Surrounded by old books and dusty artifacts. And yeah, some of them are. But is that where most archaeologists work?
Not even close. Take a look at this. In the US, this chart is kind of mind-blowing.
A full 80%, 4 out of 5, archaeologists work in government or a field called cultural resource management, or CRM for short. Only about 20% are in those classic university or museum jobs.
So what is this CRM thing that employs almost everybody? It's basically archaeology on the front lines. By law, before a new highway gets built, or a pipeline goes in, or a new building goes up, that area has to be checked for any important archaeological sites. CRM is the professional field that does that incredibly important work of protecting our heritage from being destroyed by modern development.
And here's what makes archaeology so cool. Because it's about all of human life, it's been called a magpie subject. It steals shiny things from everywhere. It borrows tools and ideas from chemistry, from geology, from computer science, from linguistics, you name it. It means that no matter what you're interested in, there's a place for you and your skills in exploring the past. It's one of the most interdisciplinary fields out there.
So this brings us to the biggest question of all. Why? Why does any of this matter, especially if you're planning to go into business or medicine or engineering? Why should you spend your time thinking about the ancient past?
Well, because archaeology gives us something that no other discipline can. Deep, deep time perspective on who we are. You want to understand long-term climate change? Archaeology shows us thousands of years of how humans have dealt with it. Worried about social inequality? Archaeology can trace its origins back to the very beginning. It's the only way to really understand our shared origins as a species, and also to appreciate the incredible diversity that makes us human.
And beyond that big picture stuff, studying archaeology builds real practical skills that every single employer is looking for. Seriously, you learn how to analyze messy, complicated data. You learn to solve problems when you have incomplete information. Remember that puzzle with the missing pieces? You learn how to write clearly and persuasively. And you develop a global perspective that's absolutely critical in the world today.
So in the end, archaeology is a really active and creative thing. The relics themselves, they're quiet. A broken pot or a fallen wall doesn't just tell you its story. They're mute. It is the job, the privilege of the archaeologist to carefully listen, to piece together the clues, and to bring them back to light.
The past may be gone forever, but it left behind a trail of breadcrumbs, a whole universe of clues, an epic story just waiting to be told. The only question left is, what part of that story are you going to help uncover? Thanks for tuning in.